Alright guys, today I thought I would do a video. So recently Marvel and DC have both been adding a lot of new number one issues, and that type of thing, and resetting the status quo and whatever. I thought I would talk about it because I don't really necessarily love what's going on right now. Basically Marvel is adding, I guess, I don't know if I assume they're rebooting all their titles that aren't like Star Wars and whatever. The main superhero line, however, is getting mainly rebooted, which, I mean, by concept, I mean, DC did it. They did it back in 2012 with Marvel Now. And I mean, I think status quo updates are kind of getting old, but I thought I'd go through the titles and talk about them. And I don't necessarily really like what Marvel's doing right now with themselves. Personally, it's kind of annoying because some of the books that they're rebooting haven't even made it a year, and they're just rebooting them for basically monetary reasons, which is kind of blatant. Not to mention, there's a lot of gimmicks going on right now, which I don't really like that either. Um, but I guess I'll just go through the titles. I mean, starting off with A Force, an all female Avengers team, which is a pretty cool idea, actually. I don't hate this idea. I think it's interesting, especially with all the female audience they're trying to pick up right now, which is great. I think it's nice to add more diversity to the comics. Moving on, there's all new Avengers, which, I mean, I don't really understand why they needed to reboot Avengers. What's changed? I mean, by the cover art we have, it looks like we're going to have Miles Morales on the team. And Miss Marvel, but about other than that, nothing too new about that. Actually, Mark Waid is writing that, which I might actually give that a try then. But and then we go on to Uncanny Avengers, a third Avengers book, which I thought was kind of interesting. I think the lineup's a little weird on this, but whatever. And then, I mean, you have New Avengers, a fourth Avengers book, and this is more like the Young Avengers. There's Hawkeye, and then there's Hulkling and all them, Squirrel Girl. And then Ultimates number one, and I mean, I just think they might have overdone the Avengers books. I mean, how much is this? It's like X-Men in the 90s. I mean, we have 2, 3, 4, 5 Avengers books. I count Ultimates as Avengers because that's exactly what it was for the Ultimate Universe. I mean, I think they're integrating it all into one universe now, but I don't know, I guess. Doctor Strange looks fine to me. Jason Aaron, so that's going to be pretty cool. Captain Marvel, they're rebooting from 1. I don't think they're horribly far into that. They must be like 30 issues in at max. I'm not positive, to be honest, about Mr. Captain Marvel right now. So none of this really bothers me. What starts to bother me is when you get to like Sam Wilson, Captain America. Now, Sam Wilson, I think, is a fine Captain America, but I figure logically you'd think Bucky Barnes would take over the mantle again. And then they didn't want to kill off Steve Rogers, so they just made him old. But I don't know. Like, I don't know why they keep him around, like Steve Rogers. Like, I mean, you'd figure either have him in the Captain America suit or don't have him around. But the only reason they're keeping him around is so it's easier just to toss him back in the suit when they don't want the gimmick anymore, and that's what really bothers me. I also felt like Falcon was kind of established as his own hero, so I just don't think it fully makes sense that he's doing it. Not to mention, it just kind of seems like a gimmick because it happened around the same time they made Thor a female and all that garbage, but I'm just kind of pointing out. And not to mention, Sam Wilson, Captain America is a book that started fairly recently as well. Definitely doesn't need to be restarted from number 1. Going on, Totally Awesome Hulk. Oh, I also want to point out Captain America's been rebooted at least 2. This will be 3 times since 2012. At least 3 times since 2012. I'm not fully sure. The next book we have is Totally Awesome Hulk. Again, Hulk is a book that's been repeatedly rebooted since the Marvel Now update in 2012. It seems like I don't understand why Marvel can't stick with the title for very long. But the face and arm is blacked out, so we don't know what the gimmick is. Who is the Hulk? So I guess we'll figure out who the Hulk is. I don't know. Whatever. Another kind of gimmick that they wanted to throw through. Of course, the Mighty Thor, another book. Thor's been rebooted at least twice since Marvel now. Another book that's just unnecessary to reboot. And, I mean, I dig all the female heroes that are coming up, don't get me wrong, but you would think if you are adding so many female characters to the Marvel Universe to become these established heroes or whatever, I mean, if you go down the line, there's even more coming up. You'd think you would just want to make a new character for them, and I'm not necessarily saying like they can't take up the mantle. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is just tossing someone new in the suit. It harms the established character because they just cheesily make a new person that established character. Not to mention they're not trying to establish new female characters that become as iconic as Captain America. I mean, who says Marvel can make a new female character that's just as cool as Thor, Captain America? But I don't know why they just keep tossing other characters into a new suit for seemingly no reason. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, I'm fine with it, especially, like, but after, like, the amount of characters they do, it just gets cheesy. I'm not necessarily saying Thor only, but I mean, if you when I get down the line, you'll see more examples. Scarlet Witch #1, which I think is a good idea. And again, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to change these characters to females. I'm just saying I don't understand why they don't just create new characters. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Scarlet Witch #1, which, yeah, like I said, is pretty exciting. Miss Marvel #1. I heard Miss Marvel's a good series. Again, a fairly young series, though I don't think it needs to be rebooted from #1. I don't quite understand why it's getting rebooted from #1. Illuminati looks kind of cool, I guess. Hawkeye #1. This one must be following the female Hawkeye, it looks like, by the cover. She was established for a while, but again, I don't fully understand why so many of these books are using their female counterparts. Again, it doesn't bother me, but I just think they could make new female characters. Like Miss Marvel is a great example. Obviously, she's based on an established mantle, but it's an all-new take on it, and I think is a pretty good idea. Or you could add even more new characters, like new identities that we haven't seen before, but I just don't necessarily see why this gimmick of just tossing them in the suit they think will, I don't know. I mean, like, again, I'm not trying to offend anyone, I'm just saying I don't necessarily understand why Marvel has to kind of just make a gimmick and toss someone new in the suit just to make money, and then honestly probably just go back to something new, or go back to the old way in a few years anyways. I mean, let's be honest, we'll probably see Steve Rogers back in the Captain America suit in a couple years. I mean, Thor will probably be the original Thor in a few years. I mean, it's just unnecessary, and all these #1s is just a way to kind of try and, you know, I mean, these are unnecessary #1s. Like, I know Hawkeye was rebooted fairly recently. Not to mention it was probably rebooted twice since Marvel now, maybe? I don't know. But I know it was rebooted fairly recently because I was thinking about picking up that book. Ant-Man #1, which again started recently. I mean, I just picked up #1 probably a month ago. But Ant-Man, I assume we're following Scott Lang there, which is fine. The Vision, which is cool. I don't think we have a Vision book right now. So, that's cool. Contest of Champions. I don't know what I think about it. It reminds me of that Teen Titans episode where they make the heroes fight one-on-one. I'm curious if it's canon, or is this like a event, or what? Because we're seeing like Venom and Sam Wilson, Captain America, Daredevil, etc. I don't know. Amazing Spider-Man #1. Apparently now Peter Parker's a big symbol. I don't know if he's came out as being Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's a big property now, and Parker Industries is huge, and I worry about it. Not to mention, again, we have Dan Slott in the writing lead. It's actually hilarious that a couple years ago, Amazing Spider-Man reached 700, and even when they initially planned on rebooting it back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they ended that actually fairly quick, and they actually added those to the numbering system. Then we had a reboot back in 2013, and we're at like issue 26, 27. I know, I'm following the book. It just, again, it seems unnecessary to reboot. I mean, since Marvel Now, I don't remember if Amazing Spider-Man 700 is after Marvel Now. I think it is. But I mean, we had Amazing Spider-Man 700, and then we go into Superior Spider-Man. Then we go to Amazing Spider-Man. Now we're at Amazing Spider-Man again. All within a matter of a few years, we've rebooted this book 4 times. It's unnecessary. I just don't fully understand why they're doing it. Next off, the new Carnage book, which looks cool, I guess. Spider-Woman #1. So, of course, Spider-Woman had to be rebooted after like 10 issues as well. And it appears Spider-Woman's pregnant, which is kind of an interesting concept. I'm fine with her being pregnant. That's not what really bothers me about this book. The thing that bothers me about this book is that she continues to be Spider-Woman after she's pregnant. It's kind of weird to me. Like, it just kind of seems like another classic Marvel gimmick that's getting thrown in our face. Here's how they should have done the book. Spider-Woman #1, that's fine. But this time Jessica Drew trains on a temporary Spider-Woman, or maybe does like more of an Oracle role. I'm not saying it's necessarily like... And then I'm fine with her coming back to being Spider-Woman once she has her kid, but I mean, does it seem realistic in any way that someone's running around pregnant being a superhero? And I understand these are superheroes we're talking about, but it just seems like an unrealistic gimmick that's like, whoa, look at our gimmick. And that kind of annoys me. Spider-Man #1. I'm fine with this being rebooted. Of course, Miles Morales comes to the Marvel Universe rather than the Ultimate Universe. So 616. That's what it appears to me, I think. Welcome to the Marvel Universe. Yeah. So that's fine. I mean, they have rebooted Ultimate Spider-Man a few times since Miles Morales came in. But this one I'm particularly fine with because you gotta understand that Miles Morales is in a new world, so it's not really Ultimate Spider-Man. And I think his status quo has changed enough that it's fine to start from Spider-Man 1 again. Next one, Spider-Gwen #1. Of course, this is actually a very popular book right now. I haven't personally read it. My only problem with this is that, again, they're starting from #1 for seemingly no reason, even though this book is very recent. And then that goes with Silk #1 as well, which is also coming out. Both of them very recent. It appears Silk has a new creative team. I don't think Spider-Gwen does. Maybe it says Helen Chen is the cover artist, so I'm not sure about the inside. I don't remember who wrote or drew that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna change the story that much. Like, I think they're just gonna keep going with kind of what they had going, because that just kind of was seeming like that's what I assume the direction is. It doesn't really say anything is in a new direction, so. Actually, Silk looks like the Sinister Silks. I don't know what that's about, but I honestly don't think Spider-Gwen is going to change much as a story, other than starting from #1 so people buy it. But I mean, yeah, Spider-Man 2099 #1. Again, kind of seems like an unnecessary reboot. Web Warriors #1. I mean, Spider-Man is going back to his like 90s levels book. I mean, we have Amazing Spider-Man. Then we have I guess Carnage. I mean, if you count Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Silk, Spider-Man 2099. Then Web Warriors, which looks kind of cool. I mean, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Woman. I don't know if I would have thrown Spider-Gwen in there personally. Not because I dislike Spider-Gwen. Like I said, I think she's kind of a cool idea. Like that's another original character. That's what I'm talking about when I say original character. I mean, I know essentially she's Spider-Man, and essentially Gwen Stacy. But I think it's interesting because, from my understanding and from what I've even read in the comics, I haven't really read much of her other than Spider-Verse. But I mean, she seemed like a fairly unique character and original, and had her own character traits that you didn't even see in the original Gwen Stacy or Spider-Man. So that's what I'm talking about when I say creating new female characters. Miss Marvel's another great example. I just don't understand why adding a gimmick to a really famous character. I don't understand the point, other than it seems like they're trying to get on like CNN or Newsarama or whatever the hell to try and sell books. And it's kind of ridiculous. Daredevil #1, new creative team. That being said, I didn't really like the way Daredevil was going in the last couple issues, with him becoming like admitting that he's Daredevil now, and everyone knew he was Daredevil for a while, I think, but now he's like, forget the Daredevil suit, and he just kind of came off as a douche the last couple issues, and I don't know if there's going to be payoff to that or what, but this actually looks kind of cool. It appears it's him and Gambit screwing around together. That's badass as hell, and Daredevil I'm going to keep on. That's a genius idea. I mean, I love Gambit, and I love Daredevil, and I was already subscribed to Daredevil, so, I mean, I'm going to keep going. Again, Daredevil #1 might be an unnecessary reboot. That being said, I think it's cool. Next off, Guardians of the Galaxy #1. This one kind of annoys me again. I mean, I think it's cool that Marvel kind of is he's not doing much with Fantastic Four right now, because I don't know if they're trying to ignore the movie and trying not to give them free money, but I don't know what that is in the back, if that's supposed to be like some weird Groot. If that's supposed to be Groot or what, I can't tell. To be honest, I don't know. It's probably in the book, but I don't really read Guardians of the Galaxy because I don't care too much. We got the Thing on it, which is awesome. Venom's still in there. I assume that's the Eddie Brock one. Drax, Rocket Raccoon, and then what appears to be a new female version of Star-Lord. I assume she just has the same uniform as Star-Lord, but it's her own character, so hopefully they actually do something with her. But again, like I was saying recently, it just kind of seems like toss a recognizable character or toss someone new in the outfit to try and sell issues. Like, people see it on their website and say, whoa, Star-Lord's a girl now, or whatever the case is. I just think that at some points it's a gimmick. I mean, I don't see why we should add a female that's dressed exactly like Star-Lord in order to sell issues, when you could easily make a new kick-ass female character for Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy is a great outfit. I mean, you have the whole universe. Who even says that it necessarily has to be a human character, which it appears to be? I mean, I would like to see maybe another alien character, and it looks like, yeah, I mean, I would just like to see something different. I mean, I don't necessarily understand why every time anything gets revamped, it's like toss someone new in the suit that doesn't necessarily, you know, it comes off as a gimmick, and that's what annoys me. It's not always necessarily earned. And the tagline that is actually in this magazine I'm looking through these images at says, "The Raccoon's in charge," which I think it's a really dumb idea that Rocket Raccoon's in charge. It's a pretty stupid place to start the writing. But that being said, it is written by Brian Michael Bendis, so I might be surprised. I'll probably pick up that first issue. Next, Drax #1, which is a pretty cool idea. Also, I think it's a little early to reboot Guardians of the Galaxy again. Howard the Duck #1. Howard the Duck what are they on, like number 6 now, maybe? I don't know. Pretty early on in that series too, but I guess Marvel will do whatever the hell they feel like. Nova #1. Nova's pretty early in as well, but they rebooted it like all these other books. And there's a Kid Nova now, which is, I don't know what I necessarily think about that. I mean, I think it could be a cool idea. I think that's a Kid Nova, like literally like a kid. I don't know. I mean, again, kind of seems like a gimmick, but I mean, something like this might not necessarily be a bad thing. I mean, you might be able to do something creative with it. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that. Star-Lord #1. Star-Lord is a pretty recent book as well that came out because of the popularity of the movie. And now he's getting his own book. So, and I guess he's he's now separated from the Guardians of the Galaxy for now. Another Spider-Man book, technically, I guess, Venom Space Knight. A very out there and interesting concept, and I think it'll be interesting. I mean, it's nice to keep him separated from the Spider-Man universe, especially with all the Spider-Man stuff going on, if there's too much. But doing something so radically different that it's almost not Spider-Man related, I mean, I can dig it. As well, Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. This looks like a great idea. I mean, you got the Howling Commandos, a bunch of them. It looks like you got Skrulls, maybe Werewolf by Night in there, Man-Thing. Awesome idea. I'm actually very hyped for that book, and I know it's not going to be flying off the shelves. So if I were you, I would check this out, but I don't know if it interests you or not. But yeah, it's kind of cool because it combines Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Howling Commandos, which is where Nick Fury really started, and those 50s monster books that are Jack Kirby's. I mean, you got Man-Thing. Jesus, it's awesome. It's an awesome combination, in my opinion. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is cashing in on the show, obviously. I don't know. I think they had an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. book, but I'm not positive enough to give a shit. Uncanny Inhumans. I don't really know what the fate of Inhumans is right now. So I'll just say what's cool. I think it's awesome that Beast is in it, and it's awesome that Human Torch is in it. Presumably Human Torch from Fantastic Four, because they're kind of trying to break that lineup again. Karnak is next. Sounds cool. Angela, Asgard's Assassin. I like how they're kind of distancing Angela more and more every day from the original Spawn area, and I think that's a pretty cool idea. I don't think Angela might have a series. I don't know. Squadron Supreme #1. Again, just looks cool. Another team book, but I don't know. I'm just worried that they're gonna overdo the team books, but whatever. Extraordinary X-Men. Looks like an interesting cast of X-Men. I'm kind of interested to see the status quo of X-Men kind of change again. I mean, just see what they do with it. I'm not going to personally read it, to be honest. Next off, we have Uncanny X-Men. Of course, you have to have a bunch of X-Men books. And this Uncanny X-Men, I think, is going to basically be the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Bigger threats require more threatening X-Men. Yes, it is. That's kind of cool. That's a cool idea. I might actually subscribe to Uncanny X-Men. I know Uncanny X-Men currently is written by Brian Michael Bendis, I believe. Or maybe it was. And that's the Cyclops team. What's Cyclops doing right now? He might have died or something, because I don't see him. Next off, all new X-Men. Of course, I've been reading this, and I'm kind of devastated, because they made it to, like, issue 40 something. 40. And I was loving that book every step of the way. And they restarted it from 1. I mean, I'm not too disappointed that they restarted it from 1. And it appears now that the crew again has new costumes. More of like their Jim Lee type 90s costumes, which is cool. I think it's interesting how long they've kept them there and how this book gets rebooted. I will try it. And of course, X-23 is on the team now. Old Man Logan, #1 is the next book. And, I mean, I don't know if this is Ultimate Wolverine or what. I just really, I don't know much about Ultimate outside of Ultimate Spider-Man, if I'm being fully honest. Or if Wolverine's just old now. But it's kind of interesting that Sam Wilson took over for Captain America and Steve Rogers is old. and Wolverine was taken over by X-23, which I'll get into in just a second. And he is also old, just like keeping him around in case they somehow want to regenerate him and toss him back in the suit. And that's the thing that worries me. I mean, I think the Sam Wilson Captain America is pretty earned, but I think logically Bucky would have taken the role, especially after doing it for so long. But that's just me. Next up, all new Wolverine, which we have X-23 now is Wolverine. And alright, this one doesn't bother me as much as some of the other characters that were just tossed in the mantle of heroes. I mean, like I said, a lot of heroes were changed to females, or there's some gimmick. Maybe they're pregnant, maybe Hulk has whatever his mystery gimmick is, or whatever. People are getting tossed around everywhere. And I guess the thing that really bothers me for the most part is these huge heroes getting changed and taken out of their mantles simply for sales reasons and not necessarily because it's earned. That being said, I think X-23 has more than proven herself to be a good Wolverine, and especially after something like the Death of Wolverine run, I think they definitely earned the right to put X-23 in the suit, and I think that's awesome. That being said, I don't necessarily believe all of them were necessarily earned changes, but I'm actually pretty pumped for X-23 to be Wolverine. I think that's really cool. And, of course, Deadpool #1. And, yeah, you gotta give Deadpool a new book, I guess. Don't necessarily like Deadpool that much anymore. And then, so yeah, that's really Marvel's new titles that I wanted to talk about.